Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The dusk settles over our quiet neighborhood as I lace up my sneakers for an evening jog. The air is crisp, with the faint aroma of jasmine wafting through the open window. The muffled sounds of a favorite sitcom drift from the living room where Leah, my wife, lounges on the couch. She waves at me, her smile reaching her eyes, and I return it without a hint of the turmoil that's about to unfold. "See you in 30 minutes, love," I call out, closing the door behind me. The rhythmic thud of my feet against the pavement sets a meditative tempo as I circle the block. It's a route we often jog together, one that meanders past well-tended gardens and rows of quaint houses bathed in the glow of street lamps. As I near the halfway mark, my mind is a whirlwind of work-related stress and the trivialities of domestic life. That's when I see it, a silhouette framed against the sheer curtains of someone's living room window. I slow down, my attention snagged by the familiar gait of the woman inside. It can't be. But the heart-shaped pendant at her throat confirms my fears. It's Leah. My Leah, with her hand resting intimately on the shoulder of a man whose back is turned to me. An old man, judging by the sparse, gray hair at the nape of his neck. They are laughing, his head tilting back in an all-too-familiar way that clenches my stomach with ice-cold dread. My jog turns into a sprint as I make a beeline for the house. I reach the window just in time to witness the old man kiss Leah's neck, a gesture so tender and possessive it feels like a punch to the gut. "Leah." My voice cracks the evening air, thick with betrayal. She whirls around, her face draining of color as she meets my gaze. The man turns, and the world tilts on its axis. "Dad?" Confusion wars with anger, a toxic cocktail that makes my next move feel both inevitable and impossible. "Danny, I." Leah's voice trembles, but I'm already moving past her, my focus riveted on the man who raised me. "How could you?" I hiss, the words scraping my throat raw. "It's not what you think, son," Dad begins, his hand outstretched in a plea I have no heart to understand. "Don't," I snap, backing away. My eyes are glued to Leah, her tears irrelevant to the cold fury settling in my bones. "This is how you repay me." Leah's sob breaks the tense silence, but it's Dad's strained voice that holds me in place. "Dan, let me explain." There's nothing to explain. The betrayal, the lies, it's all laid bare, a grotesque display of familial deceit. Without another word, I storm out, the image of their guilt seared into my memory. The next weeks are a blur of anger-fueled decisions. Divorce papers are slapped on the kitchen table, words are exchanged, harsh and unforgiving, and just like that, Leah's presence in my life becomes a ghost of the past. I break not just a marriage but a family, severing ties with Dad in a way that leaves no room for reconciliation. As I stand now in the emptied living room, the echo of the door slamming shut behind Leah for the last time resonates like the final gavel in a trial where we were all found guilty. The house is silent, save for the quiet tick of the clock, marking the end of what was and the beginning of an uncertain solitude. I'm left with nothing but a heart heavy with loss and a mind swirling with unanswered questions. A fortnight has passed since the night that fractured my life. The chill of early fall creeps through the seams of our old house, now too large and too quiet for just one. Despite Leah's absence, her essence lingers, a bottle of her favorite shampoo in the bathroom, her laugh echoing in the hollows of my mind. Today, I'm not alone. My sister, Emma, has insisted on visiting, concerned over how I've been coping, or rather, not coping. Her brisk knock interrupts my brooding, and I open the door to her carrying a casserole and a worried frown. "Danny, you look awful," she states bluntly, pushing past me into the kitchen. I close the door, a retort dying on my lips. I follow her, watching as she sets the dish on the counter and turns to me with hands on her hips. "When did you last eat something real?" "This morning," I lie, knowing full well the coffee didn't count. Emma's skeptical look speaks volumes, but she opts for a different battle. Have you talked to Dad yet? No, and I don't plan to. I sink into a chair, the weight of my father's betrayal still a fresh wound. She sighs, pulling out a chair to sit opposite me. He's devastated, Dan. He wants to explain. I don't need his explanations or excuses. My voice is sharper than I intend, and Emma's expression softens. Maybe you don't, but I think you need to hear him out. There's more to the story than you know. Curiosity piques despite my resentment. What do you mean? Before she can answer, my phone buzzes. It's an unknown number, but something nudges me to answer it. Hello? Dan? It's Leah. Her voice, a haunting mixture of nervousness and hope, clenches my heart. Emma watches, her eyebrows raised in silent question. I turn away, pressing my hand against my forehead. Why are you calling? Leah's breath hitches. I'm sorry to bother you, but we left things so unresolved. I'm pregnant, Dan. The phone nearly slips from my grasp. Pregnant? A tumult of emotions whirls through me, from shock to a flicker of joy, quickly smothered by suspicion and hurt. Is it? My voice cracks, the question too monstrous to voice fully. It's yours, Dan. There was never anyone else, I swear. Please, can we just talk? Emma's eyes are wide now, her gaze fixed on me. I nod stiffly, more to myself than Leah. I'll meet you. Not at home, public place. The park, by the fountain. 1 hour. Disconnecting the call, I meet Emma's gaze, finding an ally rather than judgment. I need to sort this out, once and for all. Do you want me to come with you? She offers, her loyalty clear. I shake my head, standing. No, I need to handle this alone. As I drive to the park, the trees blur past, their leaves whispering of changes and the passage of seasons. Leah is already there, sitting on the edge of the fountain, her posture tense. She stands as I approach, her eyes searching mine for signs of the love that once defined us. Danny, I just start at the beginning, I interrupt, not ready for apologies or endearments. As she unfolds the story, the pressures of our marriage, her loneliness, and a friendship with my father that spiraled beyond her control, I listen, the pieces of a painful puzzle slowly fitting together. It's not just a tale of betrayal, but one of profound misunderstanding and missed connections. By the time she finishes, the sun has dipped below the horizon, and the park is bathed in the soft glow of streetlights. I don't know if I can forgive you yet, I admit, but I want to try, for our child. Leah's tears, mixed with relief and sorrow, don't mend everything, but they water the parched ground of our relationship, hinting at the possibility of a new beginning, or at least, a less bitter end. As we walk slowly out of the park, the chapter of our old life closes, with a tentative first page of another being turned. The brisk morning air bites at my cheeks as I pace outside the quaint downtown cafe where I agreed to meet Dad. My nerves are frayed, the lingering anger and confusion from the last few weeks simmering beneath the surface. Emma's words from yesterday echo in my mind, promising more to the story than what I know. I'm here to listen, albeit reluctantly. As I see him approaching, my stomach tightens. He hasn't changed much, but today, the lines on his face seem deeper, his gait slower. Danny, he greets, his voice carrying a weary resignation. Dad. My response is terse as I hold the door open for him, and we choose a secluded corner table. The waitress brings over 2 coffees without needing to ask. We sit in awkward silence, the steam from the coffee mingling with the cold draft every time the door opens. Finally, he speaks. I know you have every reason not to trust me right now, but I need you to hear me out. I nod stiffly, signaling him to continue while mentally preparing myself for excuses. It started when I began helping Leah with the charity event last spring. We were just friends, Danny. It never went beyond that, I swear. His earnest tone gnaws at my resolve. Then why the secrecy? Why did she lie? He sighs, rubbing his temples. She thought you'd misunderstand. And she was right, wasn't she? The accusation stings because it carries a shred of truth. Maybe. But seeing you two together, how else was I supposed to react? I understand, son. I do. And I'm sorry for all of it. But there's something else. He leans in, his voice dropping to a whisper. I've been getting some threatening calls lately. Threatening calls? What are you talking about? My interest peaks despite the resentment. Someone's been calling me, saying they know what I did and that they're going to make me pay. His eyes scan the cafe, a flicker of fear in his gaze. And you think this has something to do with you and Leah? I ask, skepticism lacing my tone. I don't know. But I'm worried, Danny. I've made some enemies over the years, and if this gets out. Gets out? There's nothing to get out if you're telling the truth, I interrupt, frustration brewing. That's not the point. It's what people will make of it. Rumors could destroy us. I ponder his words, the weight of our family's reputation pressing down on me. What do you want from me, Dad? I want us to find out who's behind this before it goes any further. I need your help, Danny. The plea in his voice is raw and real, tugging at the familial ties that bind, however strained. Okay, Dad. We'll figure this out together. As we leave the cafe, the morning light feels harsh, casting long shadows that seem to whisper of hidden threats. The walk back to my car is quiet, both of us lost in our thoughts, aware that the path ahead is fraught with uncertainty and the potential for further upheaval. Reaching my car, I turn to him. We'll get to the bottom of this. For the family. He nods, the relief evident on his face. Thank you, Danny. As I drive away, the rearview mirror reflects the figure of my father standing alone, a man caught in the twilight of his life, surrounded by shadows that are not just from the waking world. The drive home is filled with conflicting emotions, the seeds of reconciliation sprouting tentatively in the rocky soil of betrayal and mistrust. The last vestiges of autumn strip the trees bare as I drive to meet Emma. My thoughts are a tangled mess, swirling with Dad's revelation and the deep-seated unease that something is still amiss. Emma called me earlier, her voice tight with urgency, demanding we meet at our childhood park. There's a tremor in her voice that I can't quite place, a harbinger of further revelations, perhaps. I find her on a bench overlooking the frozen pond, her figure shrouded in a thick coat. The chill in the air matches the cold dread settling in my stomach. Emma, what's going on? You sounded serious on the phone. She stands, her face pale, eyes red-rimmed. Danny, I found something. You need to see this. She hands me a stack of papers, emails printed out, their contents stark against the white background. As I skim through, the blood drains from my face. They're emails between Leah and my father, but not the benign messages of friends. These speak of love, of plans to convince me of their innocence until they could be together openly. This can't be right. Dad said. Danny, I'm so sorry. I didn't want to believe it either. I found these in Dad's study. He left his email open, and I couldn't help myself. Rage builds within me, hot and fierce. He lied to us. To me. All this time, he's been playing me for a fool. Emma reaches out, her hand trembling. I know this is hard. But there's more. I overheard him talking on the phone. He's planning to leave the country with Leah. They've been setting this up for months. The betrayal slices through the last ties of family loyalty I had clung to. Where are they now? They're meeting today, at his place. To finalize their plans, I guess. I crumple the papers in my hand, my mind made up. I need to confront them. This ends today. Emma nods, her face solemn. I'll come with you. You shouldn't face them alone. Together, we drive to Dad's house, the silence between us heavy with unspoken dread. As we arrive, the sight of Leah's car in the driveway fans the flames of my anger. We enter without knocking, the unlocked door an unspoken invitation. In the living room, Leah and my father are seated together, papers scattered around them. Danny. Leah stands abruptly, her expression one of shock. I throw the emails on the table between us. You two deserve each other. How could you do this to me? To us? Dad rises, his face ashen. Dan, I can explain. Save it. I've heard enough of your lies, I spit out, the taste of betrayal bitter on my tongue. Leah steps toward me, tears in her eyes. Danny, I never meant to hurt you. Enough. I back away, my decision crystal clear. I'm done. With both of you. You're dead to me. Turning on my heel, I leave the house, Emma close behind. The cold air hits me like a slap, a cruel reminder of the harsh truth. As we drive away, the finality of my words echoes in my heart. There's no going back. The deceit has torn the fabric of our family, irreparable and raw. In the silent aftermath, as the city lights fade behind us, the bitter taste of betrayal is overshadowed only by the resolute closure of a chapter one had once hoped would tell a story of reconciliation. Now, it's a tale of deception, a stark reminder of the depths to which those closest to us can sink. And as the distance grows, so too does my resolve to rebuild, away from the shadows of the past. Emma and I exchange a glance, an unspoken vow to lean on each other, to foster a future where deceit has no hold. The road ahead is uncertain, but it will be walked without those who chose lies over love.